Welcome, everybody, to Pipeline Summit Spring 23. My name is Kraig Swensrud. I'm the founder and CEO of Qualified, and today I'm joined by a longtime friend and special guest, longtime colleague, Sarah Franklin, the Chief Marketing Officer of Salesforce. Sarah, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me, and hello, everyone. So great to be here with all of you.
Sarah, you have a huge role as the CMO of Salesforce. I think that's probably an understatement. What's your perspective on the state of B2B marketing right now?
That's a big question because it is a hard time these days in B2B marketing because the economy is crazy, the world is changing, everybody is in the state where, the budgets are being cut, there's changes in your organizations, there's so much going on, and so it's hard times these days.
It's hard times. Well, speaking of budgets being cut, I know you're all on the same fiscal year that we're on, so our fiscal year just ended in January, so you probably went through months of budget planning, cycles and approval processes, and you probably got your budget rolled out, and here we are at the dawn of a new year. What's that whole process like at Salesforce?
It's a great question because a lot of people think in these jobs you do only creative, only, talking on stages, only having fun conversations like this, but you spend a lot of time in the planning and working with your teams on structuring everything that you're going to do. And so the budget process, I'm already in the budget planning for next year.
Right.
Because especially when you look at events and your campaigns and how you're going to forecast in your long range plan, you have to be on top of it. So our budget, it's still not fully baked, which is a good part of marketing, which is we have to be able to accommodate changes along the way. So the budget process is pretty intense. But what I think is important for marketers is that the budget process is actually very strategic. And it's an opportunity for marketeers and everybody in this role to not just ask for the money, but show the value that you're going to return back into the business. So the budget process for us was a lot of talking through our long-range plan and talking through the outcomes that we were going to get from our investments that we were going to make, and really kind of pitching the ideas of we could do this event or this campaign or make this investment. And it's hard, but it's also a fun time to think about the big bets that you can make.
Everybody is asking, show me the money, right? The CFO, I'm sure, is asking you to show me the money.
Show me the ACV, show me the revenue.
The ROI in our campaigns is more important than ever because we need to prove every dollar we spend. So as you kind of look forward on your FY24, you're now like a couple months in, and you guys use the V2 Mom planning process. We use that here too. What are the top things that are priorities for you right now?
So yes, we anchor on the V2 Mom, and this is everything that we do is written down in priority order. You know this very, very well. And people here, if you don't know it, look it up and read it online because it's a very useful technique to take something very complicated and distill it down to a way that you can align your whole team. So our V2 Mom this year is a very simple vision statement. And simplicity is actually one of our values for this year because during hard times, we need to get back to basics and look at some of the most simple things and make sure we've got the fundamentals nailed. And so for us as marketers, we're storytellers, and our vision is to be the customer, or to be the storytellers of the customer company, to fuel our growth with our ACV and our pipeline targets, top center metrics in our vision. And that cascades into very simple methods that we're doing between our events and experiences, building out our customer stories, building out top 10 campaigns, building out our Trailblazer motion, and then connecting with the C-suite. And those are the 5 things that we're focused on this year.
I love that you can do that so simply and clearly. Well, we're here at the Pipeline Summit, and so everybody, I'm sure, is wondering, where does Pipeline rank for Salesforce's CMO and your priority list? How do you think about pipe gen in today's environment?
Yeah, so if you talk to the head of revenue at our company, their priorities are ACV, ACV, ACV. And as the CMO, my priorities are pipeline, pipeline, pipeline.
So tell me a little bit about your relationship with the revenue leaders at Salesforce. Are you guys at odds with one another, kind of the classic sales marketing divide? How do you guys think about your strategic planning? How do you approach pipe generation? Do you have shared targets? Kind of what's it like in your world?
yes to all of the above. We, between your product organization, your marketing organization, and your distribution organization, you're the trifecta of your whole business, and you're supported with your customer success and legal and all of the other organizations. But the three of us really are the strategic arms, and I see marketing as the glue between the product and the sales organization. So yes, salespeople want more campaigns, more events, more pipeline, and product teams want, more launches, more innovations in market, more pipeline as well. But working with the sales teams is really important to just show up as marketeers and ask what's important to them, build the strategy together for where the white space is or where the, accounts that you want to target are. And so we have a great relationship with our sales teams. We're aligned to the sales teams. I think that's an important thing for marketing organizations, to look at your structure and don't create a structure which is misaligned to the way that your go-to-market is structured. Because if you're not aligned, then that's where you'll have the fights and the tension.
So do you share the same pipe gen numbers? Like, do you have a pipe gen number in your V2 Mom and that's shared with the sales organization?
Yes.
Everybody knows what to expect.
Yes.
Because I know a company like Salesforce, we all respect Salesforce for what the company has been able to achieve, especially the sales and marketing team. It's the best. And Salesforce is so innovative. So there's so many things in marketing, I'm sure, as a CMO, that you're out there on the front lines talking about generative AI and Einstein GPT. But ultimately, at the end of the day, your sales team is struggling to close deals like we all are, and pipeline is obviously core to that. So how much of your time, if you were to break down the hours you spend in a given month, how much do you focus on pipeline versus other types of marketing tasks?
Well, everything that we do ultimately ladders back to pipeline. Whether you're building a community, that ultimately ladders back to pipeline, because they're the ambassadors and of your brand and your products into their companies. Or whether you're working on brand, that ultimately you want to create awareness that ultimately leads to pipeline for people to want to buy your service or your product. So I would say 100% of my time is focused on pipeline. Even the time focused on the health of my team or doing team bonding. If you don't have successful, happy team members, they're not going to be helping you deliver a pipeline. So I would say that is my sole focus. Our goal is 100% aligned to the sales team. We take on the total pipeline goal. And there's many generation sources, whether it's AE generated or, marketing generated, SDR, BDR. And we look every week at all of the numbers, and we look at all of the growth and all of the percentages, and we go in everything. And we do that together with the distribution team. And I think that's so important, because if you aren't aligned, or you're fighting, or you're finger pointing, which is the worst, I don't recommend participating in that, because you're just going to lead yourself down to a negative pathway.
Well, tell me a little bit about events. We're sitting here
we kind of do those
in downtown San Francisco. We're right in the epicenter where we're sitting right now, the epicenter of Dreamforce. And, events were tough for a few years. Kind of went through COVID, and it was like everything's virtual. And then we tried to do Dreamforce a couple years back, and then we did a blowout event at Dreamforce last year. How important is events to your strategy? And how do you think about in-person events versus virtual events like this?
So events are important to our strategy. And when you look at the way the budget breaks down, you've got about a third which you put into paid media, digital campaigns, etc. You have about another third that you put into your events, your hospitality, all of your field engagement, and then about a third that goes into your brand and your community and all of that. And you need to decide your strategy on what lever you're going to invest in more, and that all ties back to the beginning of the question, beginning of this, talking about budgets. And so for Salesforce, events are a very important part for us. They've been very effective. They also double as an enablement tactic. So when you get your employees there and your salespeople there, they hear what's going on, they see what's going on. So they also can feel the culture and experience the brand. And so, this very, very well yourself, as being in this seat before. And it's definitely an important part for us to do the events. And so they've also been really popular. People have wanted to get back and connect. They've wanted to be able to have, just like here today, where people are getting best practices from each other, learning tips and tricks. It's important that people do that and you get people together. So events are important for multiple reasons. But ultimately, yes, we do hope they drive pipeline.
So you broke down your budget in third. You said a third was digital, a third was effectively being out in the field enablement. You would put events in that bucket, and a third was brand, which is I think probably a good insight from you in this discussion. You know, when you're out there in the world and you're thinking of the brand of Salesforce, obviously brand building has this halo effect on pipeline generation, right? Because the things that you're talking about and the interest that you're driving in the market drives interest in Salesforce, which leads to people tinkering with the product or doing a free trial or signing up to read content. And then of course that leads into stage one pipeline. Salesforce is always on the bleeding edge of innovative technology and talking about the new things. I think the team at Salesforce, yourself and Mark and all the other executives have been so great about capturing the interest of the B2B community, especially us marketers. What are the hot trends right now that marketers should be paying attention to from the perspective of yourself and Salesforce?
Yeah, so I'll just start first though by saying that differentiation and relevance are so important as a marketeer and as a brand, because if you're just saying the same thing that everybody else is saying, if you're saying it the same way, if it's not that interesting, if it's just super boring, you're not going to have people's attention. And so relevance is key in driving great marketing. And so right now, it's very relevant, generative AI. Everybody is talking about it. It is the talk of the town. It's crazy that in 2 months, OpenAI had 100 million users on ChatGPT. Things that took years, sometimes decades for prior technologies to get that same level of adoption and usage. So generative AI is incredible. Einstein GPT is our marketing-led innovation there, showing that everything that you can do across sales, service, marketing, commerce with generative AI, and in a way though that brings your values to bear. So it's not just technology for technology's sake. Is doing it with our values of trust, looking at your trusted customer data, which is really important in delivering value back. So that is definitely a big trend right now. And then the underpinning of that is data. It is the data foundation. Data is so foundational to the world of today and tomorrow. Just like this building here is built with bricks and physical materials, the world of the future is being built with data. And that's the world, that's our currency going forward, especially as marketeers. And so I think the future is exciting. I think that it's a fun time to be in this hard time, because it's a time when you need to invent, you need to differentiate, you need to go back to basics, you need to be creative in order to win. And that's why I think it's a hard time, but a great time.
What a great message, Sarah. I've known you for quite a long time.
We're young, right?
I'm always inspired to talk to you. I'm inspired to talk to other Salesforce executives, because with so much stress on our industry right now, we all feel it. As marketers, we feel it. As sales professionals, we feel it. It is so tough out there right now, but you've always been so optimistic, and Salesforce and Mark have always been so optimistic about the future. That's something I've admired so much. What makes you optimistic about the year ahead for us marketers?
It's a very good question, because we all feel like you said, we feel the pressures and we feel the difficulties. But what makes me optimistic is that just we're simply here, and we have so much opportunity ahead of us, and we have the opportunity to build the future. The future is not yet written. It's our opportunity to write it. And it's a bit manifest destiny. If we decide that it's going to be doom and gloom, we will get doom and gloom. If we decide that we're going to navigate it, and we might not have the results that we had of 2 years ago when things are just bananas crazy going through the roof, but we may reset expectations a little bit. But we have to have optimism because we just have to believe. Because if you don't believe, then you're just going to go nowhere.
Sarah, thank you so much for being here with me today at the Pipeline Summit. What a great conversation. I wish you and Salesforce all the best this year. Let's go do it together. Thank you so much.
Boom.